and I laugh at Destiny for being a loser. And the thing is, he would kill you. He would take you and slit your throat.
Catherine Fisk, a professor at Berkeley Law, assaults a Muslim hijabi law student, while her husband, Erwin Chemerinsky, dean of Berkeley Law, screams, "Leave our house." In the end, violent white supremacists with fancy degrees. These elite institutions are faced with symbols over mouth. Ooh. The biggest problem with this video is you have law students about to graduate Berkeley Law who think they have a First Amendment right to protest in someone else's private backyard. There's no shot that's where they are, right? That they're in this woman's backyard? No way, right? Even in public, there are some expectations of privacy that you have, right? Like even if you're in a completely 100% public area, I'm pretty sure that there are some things like I don't think it's legal to take pictures of a woman's skirt, like up skirt pictures. I don't think you can do that.
Do you know what it means?
Do you think Israel have lost the war and have not met any of their objectives like some claim, or is this pro-Palestinian cope? They haven't lost any war yet, no. But I mean, like, have they accomplished their objective? I'm still not fully sure what the objective is when we say eliminate Hamas. I don't know what that means exactly. I think it's fair to say we should demand stricter objectives from people before we support, like, war, maybe. I'm at a treatment center in LA, and literally everyone is a socialist and they complain about capitalism daily. At least one of them loves Hassan. I feel like I should say something, but not sure how I could open their eyes. At a treatment center? For what? Like psychiatric disorders, bro? You're probably not there to convert anybody politically.
I prefer beyond. You know what it means? When you spend 42 years reading every scrap, every footnote, not once, not twice, but 3 times, because I'm a forensic scholar. I'm looking to analyze the text and figuring out what is wrong with this argument. I know it's wrong, but why? And, you know, it's a very intensive mental expenditure of energy. And then this guy, 3 months ago, he boasts about the fact that he could find Israel on the map. He thought that Erdogan was the prime minister of Israel. And he says, he's telling his viewers, believe me, I've never seen that program, never will. But people are emailing me, Finkelstein, be careful, he's going to destroy you. Finkelstein, he's really ready now for you. I'm thinking,
Hello? So I don't know why, but every now and then my YouTube just like, I lose all my upstream for 10 seconds. I have no idea why this happens. It's happened ever since I started moving, or ever since I moved here. Did it happen when I lived in Little Havana a year and a half ago? Maybe, I don't know, it's weird, but.
that program, never will. But people are emailing me, Finkelstein, be careful, he's going to destroy you. Finkelstein, he's really ready now for you. I'm thinking,
Like, legitimately, okay, listen. I don't think anybody should ever self-harm. But if I was a Destiny fan and I was emailing scholars because my boy was reading Wikipedia pages live on stream while taking Adderall or whatever the fuck. And
It's so crazy how the prescription drug thing has become like a new avenue of attack. I noticed that shows up in a lot of, and it's funny too, because before I got on Vyvanse, everybody accused me of being hyped up on Addy. And then now that I'm on Vyvanse, people accuse me of being hyped up on Addy. It's funny that that's like become the new go-to, like the medical history attack. But
thought that he was intelligent. I would take my car and I would test the crumple zones in the highway wall at 150 miles an hour. Like, can you, like, honestly, I can't imagine a more pathetic existence than that.
thankfully, he doesn't have to.
Like, really the worst.
What the f- are you talking about? A guy who gets all his knowledge from Wikipedia is going to destroy me? Do you know what an affront that is? What an affront that is?
I mean,
So
if
I was
Destiny wrote the Wikipedia page, that would be one thing. But and by the way, can I just say this? He doesn't even read Wikipedia. He doesn't read Wikipedia. He skims Wikipedia. I need to correct this. I think if somebody literally reads Wikipedia, if you truly did read Wikipedia, you would actually be pretty intelligent of a person. Now, I don't agree with every article on there, and there's some biases, and it's an encyclopedic level, which is a low level. You're never going to become an expert on anything by reading Wikipedia, okay? But you could be pretty well informed, and if you actively read Wikipedia, which means a couple things. This is what reading Wikipedia would mean.
He's going to say, you got to read the article, and then you got to click through the sources. Click through and read the sources. You got to click through the sources.
Going through the footnotes.
It's always this. People always think that this makes you like, it's not even really, it's going through the footnotes is not even really the best thing to do. I don't think I've ever, sometimes I go through the footnotes if I want like a little more clarity on what a particular quote or passage means, or if the passage seems a little sus. I'm like, well, let's look at the underlying source material. But like usually if you're reading something and you want to know more about it, usually then you hop onto Google and you start Googling the topic. And then you'll look for either related articles, books, videos, documentaries, like whatever, like stuff like that. But like just clicking through to the footnotes is not really the way you become more well-rounded in the subject when the Wikipedia is already summarizing the footnotes generally. Like it's like one of those blanket things like, oh, how do you stay informed? Well, I watch news from a variety of sources. Like, okay.
Pretty well informed, and if you actively read Wikipedia, which means a couple things. This is what reading Wikipedia would mean. Going through the footnotes. Seeing if, for example, a single author or a single book is being used for the bulk of the article. And if it is, going and reading that book. And seeing if you could detect biases or perhaps look for other sources of information. Looking at the talk page, seeing what the edits were, seeing what the debates were.
Is he just going through and saying every single thing I did? What is he?
Over the page. See if it primarily has a single author who might be biased. Actually engage with the footnotes, engage with the text, read the full article more than once from top to bottom, and actually understand it. He doesn't read Wikipedia, okay? He skims it. He has a conclusion, and he's looking for evidence for his conclusion. He is a sophist. He's a hack. And Destiny has learned something, which is most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, or they have a hard time. If they do know what they're talking about, they have a hard time always bringing it up really quickly. This is why he hated me, because I can bring up all the arguments. I know what he's gonna say. He's never presented me with something new. I have a response to everything he's gonna say because he's stupid. He's got a child's level understanding of the issues he talks about.
What's a tiff?
And I laugh at Destiny for being a loser. And the thing is, he would kill you. He would take you and slit your throat to have Hassan's worst stream of the last week. He would slit your fucking throat for those numbers.
Okay. Hi, Lud. I'm a big fan, a VOD frog, and a stream lurker. You've mentioned that we should voice out when we don't agree with the sponsorships you take, so here's me doing exactly that. In the most recent Unpaid Intern episode, there was a joke about HP, Hewlett-Packard, selling their entire subsidiary, HyperX, to a viewer if we can find a lighter 14-inch laptop. This was also how I found out that HyperX is owned by Hewlett-Packard. Hewlett-Packard is the first on the list of companies that BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction to pressure Israel to comply with international law and fight for Palestinian rights, advises to boycott. This is because HP directly helps support the Israeli apartheid regime and is thus implicit in the current and ongoing genocide in Gaza. You're taking money from HP and HyperX, POG, but they won't pay you if they don't think they can make money, make more from the sales and conversions from your viewers, not Pog. I'm sorry that I might be fucking up your bag, but I would be remiss if I didn't say anything. You're legit one of the best creators on YouTube, doing shit no one has ever seen before, but please let's not make one of these things supporting the ongoing Israeli apartheid. TLDR, Lud has HyperX ad reads. HyperX is owned by HP. HP helps Israel maintain the apartheid regime. Please boycott. I learned something today. Holy shit, me too. Never knew how HP is impeded with IOF. Like they provided them with all their PC hardware, ... In case you're wondering, if you haven't learned by now, IOF is the way that people refer to the IDF. Instead of the Israeli Defense Force, they call them the Israeli Offense Force. HP gives Israel printers to print out each piece of paper they give to Palestinians that says get before they drop a 9,000-pound bomb on them. Oh, is it for occupation? I'm sorry, the Israeli Occupation Force. My bad.
Fast.
Catherine Fisk, a professor at Berkeley Law, assaults a Muslim hijabi law student while her husband, Erwin Chemerinsky, dean of Berkeley Law, screams, "Leave our house." In the end, violent white supremacists with fancy degrees. These elite institutions are faced with symbols over mouth. Ooh. Is this a real assault, or is this a logistical definition of assault?
Fast. Not only from the
illegal sustenance.
This is not your
Fast, not only
it is
from
my
house.
Fast. We have attorneys. We have attorneys.
Okay, you don't have to get
Excuse me.
aggressive.
Please leave our house. You are guests at our house.
This is our First Amendment right.
No,
This is our First
this is
Amendment.
my
It
house.
is.
The First
The
Amendment
National
doesn't
Lawyers
apply.
Guild has informed us this is our fast. Not only from the
That is assault. She tried to grab her phone. She shouldn't have done that. Not good. But this is also mega cringe. Why are they in front of this woman's house? Read to the dean's full statement. Biggest problem with this video. Ooh, we got a big Jew flag here, I think, right? Oh, no, wait. It just looked like the colors. It's a Pop-Tart thing. The biggest problem with this video is you have law students about to graduate Berkeley Law who think they have a First Amendment right to protest in someone else's private backyard. There's no shot that's where they are, right? That they're in this woman's backyard? No way, right? I write this with profound sadness. Since I became a dean, my wife and I have invited the first-year students to our home for dinner. We were asked this year by the president of the third-year class to have the graduating students over for dinner because they began in fall 2021 when COVID prevented us from having dinners for them. We were delighted to oblige and designated 3 nights, April 9th, 10th, 11th, that graduating students could choose among. I never imagined that something we do to help our community to become ugly and divisive. Last week, there was an awful poster on social media and bulletin boards in the law school building of a caricature of me holding a bloody knife and fork with the words in large letters, "No dinner with Zionist Chemerinsky, while Gaza starves." I never thought I would see such blatant anti-Semitism with an image that invokes the horrible anti-Semitic trope of blood libel and that attacks me for no reason other than I am Jewish. Although many complained to me about the poster and how it deeply offended them, I felt that, although deeply offensive, they were speech protected by the First Amendment, but I was upset that those in our community had to see this disturbing anti-Semitic poster around the law school. The students responsible for this had the leaders of our student government tell me that if we did not cancel the dinners, they would protest at them. I was sad to hear this, but made clear that we would not be intimidated and that the dinners would go forward for those who wanted to attend. I said that I assumed that any protest would not be disruptive. On April 9th, about 60 students came to our home for the dinner. All had registered in advance, all came into our backyard and were seated at tables for dinner. While guests were eating, a woman stood up with a microphone, stood on the top step of the yard, and began a speech including about the plight of the Palestinians. My wife and I immediately approached her and asked her to stop and leave. The woman continued. When she continued, there was an attempt to take away her microphone. Repeatedly, we said to her that you are a guest in our home, please stop and leave. About 10 students were clearly with her and ultimately left as a group. The dinner, which was meant to celebrate graduating students, was obviously disrupted and disturbed. I'm enormously sad that we have students who are so rude as to come to my home in my backyard and use this social occasion for their political agenda. The dinners will go forward on Wednesday and Thursday. I hope that there will be no disruptions. My home is not a forum for free speech, but we will have security present. Any student who disrupts will be reported to student conduct, and a violation of the student conduct code is reported to the bar. I've spent my career staunchly defending freedom of speech. I've spent my years as dean trying hard to create a warm, inclusive community. I am deeply saddened by these events and take solace that it is just a small number of our students who would behave in such a clearly inappropriate manner. Erwin, are these people then, these are law students that are going to the law school? Sharia law students? Jesus Christ. I hope the professor reported, if they're truly law students, I hope that the professor reported these people. I feel like if you fuck around like this, I feel like for sure you're gonna like fuck up like character and fitness, right? Like if you were to do shit like this and get reported for it, no shot. Read the third comment. If you're supporting the right cause, you have the legal right to do anything at all in the name of that cause, whether trespassing or worse. This is according to international law. However, it is an oral international law, so you can't look it up and you just have to trust them. Oh, he's just making fun of them, right? Nah, don't report them. Don't fuck up their education. No, they should be reported, and it should fuck their education up. Absolutely. I would be a little bit more understanding if they were undergrads, but these are master's level students going to Harvard Law, Yale Law, Berkeley Law. They're going to, is Berkeley a top, like you're in law school, you're about to graduate. When you are assessed for being a barred licensed attorney, right? You do a character and fitness examination, and character and fitness is a big component in passing that and becoming a licensed attorney. And if you're doing shit like this, you know what the consequences are. You know and if you don't have the wherewithal to conduct yourself properly here, you shouldn't be a licensed attorney. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't practice law. Go do something else. This is wildly inappropriate behavior. What's the line for college students to do stupid political things? We're not talking about college students right now. We're talking about law students that are supposedly in their last year. So we've got 3 L's that don't understand the First Amendment that are trying to protest on private property. That's wild. I don't think all protests at people's homes should be condemned. I agree, they shouldn't all be condemned. Some of them should be shot at. What do you mean? In people's homes, on people's private property, in the United States of America? No, you don't have any right to somebody's private property in the United States of America. You're fucking wild. That's unhinged. But the ethical bar should be very high. You stop reading. That doesn't matter. There is no ethical bar. You cannot protest on somebody's private property. That's wild. Yes, everybody keeps spamming. Ludwig is sponsored by HyperX, which is owned by HP, but there's a different HP. I don't care. I don't really care. I don't care about it. I don't care about this. This is a drama I don't care about. Please stop posting about it. I don't care. Apparently, there are 2 different HPs. If you want to go read about it, you can. I don't give a fuck about Ludwig or his sponsors or any of that bullshit. I super don't give a fuck. Please stop. This is such a bad take and bad precedent. What do you mean a bad take and bad precedent? If they wanted to protest outside the house, you can do that, I think, without microphones. But no, you don't have a right to be inside somebody else's house making political statements and no. The only thing that could make this remotely questionable still not right would be if the home was owned by the school and not a home that he bought. That's true. That would change things significantly. But the statement, he said it was their private home, didn't he? Since I became a dean, my wife and I have invited the first few students to our home for dinner. Right? Well, unless you can, no, hold on. Just because it's paid for by the school, because it might be like, for instance, should I have the right to go into Biden into the White House, like where the family lives, and like jerk off and do whatever there because it's like, well, my tax dollars pay for it. If there's like an agreement that like these are that the university provides housing for certain people, you would still consider that private property. You don't have a right to conduct yourself there in however way you want. Apparently, this is the poster that was being posted up in the school. Jesus. Destiny, this is stupid. Why would a university own the house of a faculty member? What are the chances of that? What? I don't know. My guess would be they're probably higher than you think. Don't you have faculty moving from like all over the country to be guest professors or to be professors? It wouldn't surprise me at all if colleges owned some housing that faculty. I can't tell if that was a meme because your question was so like pointedly stupid. I can't tell if that was a meme or not. I feel like probably a decent chance that they own some housing for people. Live updates. Wait, we have one of these accounts, don't we? Hold on. Is there a reasonable expectation of privacy for residential spaces, even if it's public property? Yeah, of course. It might be publicly funded, but it's still going to be... You don't have a public access to it. All things that are publicly funded, you're not guaranteed to have private access to it, right? Certainly we understand that. I can't walk into the Pentagon and say, I pay your taxes, like, let's open the coffers, show me everything. You can't do that, right? Seems like with the river stabbing shit that people have very undefined lines on what self-defense means, and now even how to protest without violating another agency. Some people are okay with fingers and faces, throwing water or protesting people with family at dinners. I always thought it would be cool to get everyone on the same page or doing a deep dive, since some people can't tell the difference in the Rittenhouse case to a guy running up on people, then claiming self-defense. There's a thing that this story wasn't in my Father Brown book, I don't think. I just want to read this part one real quick. I think this is important. In Chesterton's The Secret of Father Brown, a beloved nobleman who murdered his good-for-nothing brother in a duel 30 years ago returns to his hometown racked by guilt. All the townspeople want to forgive him immediately, and they mock the titular. I don't know how to pronounce this fucking word. Titular. They mock the titular priest for only being willing to give a measured forgiveness, conditional on penance and self-reflection. They lecture the priest on the virtue, charity, and compassion. Later, it comes out that the beloved nobleman did not, in fact, kill his good-for-nothing brother. The good-for-nothing brother killed the beloved nobleman and stole his identity. Now, the townspeople want to see him lynched or burned alive, and it is only the priest who, consistently, offers a measured forgiveness conditional on penance and self-reflection. The priest tells them, "It seems to me that you only pardon the sins that you don't really think sinful. You only forgive criminals when they commit what you don't regard as crimes, but rather as conventions. You forgive a conventional duel just as you forgive a conventional divorce. You forgive because there isn't anything to be forgiven." I think that when you think about like certain values or principles you have, oftentimes people imagine themselves having a certain value or principle, but they only ever think of it in application to people that they already agree with. So like a really common example of this would be like, oh, how do you feel about freedom of speech? And you're like, freedom of speech is the most important thing in the world. Oh, really? Do you think gay people should be allowed to stand on street corners and say, I think all kids should transition? Hold up. That's destroying the country. It's destroying families. It's rotting children's brains. It's causing like, okay, so when you say you believe in freedom of speech, you mean freedom for the people you already agree with. You don't need freedom of speech for them. You just, nobody would attack their speech, right? Freedom of speech is for stuff that you don't want, you know? When people talk about like assault or self-defense or protesting on certain property or whatever, they think about it, but I think they only envision it in ways where they already agree with the cause. And I think that's damaging because whatever you grant for yourself, you have to grant for the opposition. And when I went and gave that speech in Iowa, when I did the thing on the debate stage with the president of that political university, we spoke a little bit afterwards about it's like MLK shit and like debate and all this stuff. And one of the things that he told me that I thought was really interesting was he said that it's kind of taking what I'm saying, it's phrasing it in a slightly different way, but he's saying whatever tool that you give to somebody to protest, that you say like, oh, like you should be allowed to do this particular thing to protest. Imagine the worst way that somebody can use that tool. So the example being that like, well, let's say we say sit-ins are an acceptable form of protest. What's the worst way that somebody can use a sit-in? I was like, well, I guess like sitting in and disrupting public business and like, yeah, I get like it'd be pretty annoying, but like that'd be the worst thing that could happen, even if we didn't disagree with the cause. But then he's like, okay, well, what if we say things like killing politicians? Well, what's the worst way somebody could use that? Okay, well, you could literally assassinate all of Congress and the president. Fuck, that's a way more extreme. What about like measured destruction of property? It's like, okay, well, we could be blowing up public property. Does that mean schools? Does that mean like water treatment facilities? Does that mean energy plants? Like, what does that mean, right? So when you think about whatever I'm not saying what the rule should be in terms of self-defense or in terms of protest or whatever, although I'm probably largely going to agree with the laws in the books, but whatever the rule is, you should imagine it being applied to everybody, especially people you disagree with. Yeah. Yet Destiny is okay with people protesting in front of the Supreme Court Justice's house after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Double standards. Protesting in front of somebody's house is not the same thing as protesting in their backyard or on their property, right? Streets are considered public property. So no, that's not the same thing. Also, I'm not even sure if I said I was okay with that. Didn't I have a discussion with Pisco on that? I don't even know if I'm 100% okay with that. I don't know if I even came to a conclusion on that. It seems a little sus or not good that you're protesting like a judge's decision outside their house. I don't know if that's a good thing or not at all. I don't know if I ever took a strong stance on that in the past. But what's your position on the P versus NP problem? What position can you have? I think you said it wasn't a good precedent because of the chilling effect. Yeah, that'd be my guess. Yeah. Like, do you really want to judge thinking like, well, if I make this decision, I'm going to be protested like crazy at my personal residence for years? Like, that doesn't seem like a good precedent, no? Does he seem a little mindful of the counter woke stuff? Does he seem a little mindful of the counter woke stuff? Maybe a little bit, yeah. But he seems generally reasonable, so. Would you do an Israel versus Palestine change my mind event? Bro, my audience is exhausted, is fatigued as fuck on this, okay? And I'm already planning this fucking trip now more, so it's too much, okay? We gotta do other stuff. Why do I feel like, I don't know if I'm missing something. I just feel like nothing is happening politically right now. What the is going on in the country? I try to like check out news articles and shit, but I wonder if the reason why we're getting so much Ukraine, Russia, and like Israel, Palestine stuff, it just feels like nothing is, we had the border shit, and then dead air before election season. Yeah, there's a couple Trump things. Or there was a Trump stuff relating to the abortion stuff, like one statement, but yeah, I don't know. These are the three things we have. Okay, this one first. Live updates. Inflation runs hotter than expected. Consumer prices rose 3.5% in March from a year earlier, a larger than predicted jump. The underlying details could worry the Federal Reserve. I don't believe they've cut rates yet, right? St. Louis Fed. Okay, so rates are still here. Have you been soured on researching on stream by the stupid clips floating around? No, not at all. I'm just waiting for just a topic that's like super motivating. We'll finish the problem is that like I know the immigration is going to be so boring for people, and then it's like falling out. I don't know. We'll figure it out. A closely watched measure of inflation remained stronger than expected in March, worrying news for Federal Reserve officials who become increasingly concerned that their progress on lowering price increases might be stalling. The surprisingly stubborn inflation reading raised doubts among economists about when and even whether the Fed will be able to start cutting interest rates this year. The Consumer Price Index climbed 3.8% on an annual basis after stripping out food and fuel prices, which economists do in order to get a better sense of the underlying inflation trend. What is the pressure to cut rates? Isn't the economy still like explosively growing? Like and our unemployment is unbelievably low. Where is the pressure to cut rates? Is it just like people who want like more stock returns, or I don't understand where that pressure is coming from. I might just not. It's like Jesus Christ. For housing? Fuck housing. Like Holy shit. Why would you want to cut rates in this environment? I don't get it. I don't understand at all. It can't just be housing. Small caps are getting fucked a bit though, are they? Maybe homeowners? No, not homeowners. Homeowners are probably doing, I think, better now than I think they ever have been, which is, and I think like 70% of Americans live in an own home right now. It's like absurd. It can't just be relating to like people that don't have a house. That can't be the only motivation. It feels greedy. Or what is the... Do I have a Wall Street Journal? Who would have better writing on this? Or we should get like is it Mark Levine? Matt Levine? Like a newsletter? Who writes on this? Probably a stretch to call it pressure. I imagine it's partly to do with expectations are priced into markets. If you go subvert expectations, things can happen at long rates. I just can't imagine is it Matt Levine? I just can't imagine where is the pressure, because I feel like everybody's talking about like, oh, rates going to come down, rates need to come down, rates are going to, like, do they? A lot of the economy is getting absolutely fucked right now. An FIB report came in, and 50% of the company's labor percentage from small businesses are littered in the ground right now. Plus, you can't keep interest rates high on a real estate basis. Interest rate minus inflation, because it will push economy into recession. Let me keep reading here. He said real rate, not real estate. Oh, the real rate. Sorry. Oh, interest rates high on a real rate basis. Interest rate minus inflation. Gotcha. That core index was stronger than the 3.7% increase economists had expected, and unchanged from 3.8% in February. The monthly reading was also stronger than what economists had forecast. Counting in food and fuel, the inflation measure climbed 3.5% in March from a year earlier, up from 3.2% in February, and faster than what economists had anticipated. A rise in gas prices contributed to that inflation number. This week's inflation figures come at a critical juncture for the Fed. Central bankers have been hoping to confirm that warmer than expected inflation figures at the start of the year were just a seasonal quirk, not evidence that inflation is getting stuck well above the 2% inflation target. Wednesday's report offers little comfort that the quick early 2024 readings have not lasted. It is what it is. It's stronger than expected number, and it's showing that those price pressures are strong across goods and services, said Blarina Urici, that's not a real name, chief U.S. economist at T. Rowe Price. It's problematic for the Fed. I don't see how they can justify a June cut with this strong data. Policymakers have made it clear in recent months that they want to see further evidence that inflation is cooling before they cut interest rates. Fed officials raised borrowing costs to 5.3% in 2022 and mid-2023, which they think is high enough to meaningfully weigh on the economy. Central bankers forecast in March that they will cut interest rates 3 times this year. But Fed officials do not want to cut rates before they are confident that inflation is on track to return to normal. Lowering borrowing costs too early or too much would risk allowing price increases to pick back up. And if households and businesses come to expect inflation to remain slightly higher, officials worry that that would make it even harder to stamp out down the road. How do you feel about the metric ton of federal debt at the moment? Total public debt as percent of GDP. Even as a percentage of GDP, it's growing. Has grown quite a bit. I don't know how the interest payments and everything affect our budget and everything. I would imagine at some point this is probably not good, or you have to do something to balance us out. I know you've covered this topic for the Rogan debate, but more info on the elector scheme came out from the Wisconsin settlement with Chesborough. Really? Why do you think wages aren't keeping up with inflation? In the U.S. economy, I think historically, largely, I'm pretty sure wages have generally kept up with inflation. The way that one graph that gets posted all the time works is they cut out like a lot of laborers or workers that would change that. I don't know why. I don't think the question is normally if wages have kept up with inflation, though. Isn't it if wages have kept up with the productivity? I'm not sure. I don't know. What is this? It took him a minute for his ego to kick in. Did you go over to Tucker Carlson's comments about you? Just got home. Wait, did Tucker Carlson mention me? State Trooper. Why did this start at 48 seconds? Hold on. Productivity so shit, now we losing all the boomers who knew how to do everything. What? Pretty sure our workforce is unbelievably more productive than the boomer workforce, but okay. Did you not read last month that wages were outpacing inflation? Yeah, they were for, I think, a couple months. But the inflation, I think, is still a little bit higher than the Fed. What is the Fed target? Isn't it 2%? And it's still 3.8? The beginning is just walking for 48 seconds? Okay, I want to set the mood. What's going on in this vid? My guess is going to be this guy is this guy like a First Amendment auditor or something, or did he just record shit? I don't know, but he stopped and he recorded the cops for a while. My guess is going to be the cops saw this and like, wait, why the fuck are you recording us? Which is probably fine. And then he's probably going to throw some attitude up, being like, it's my right, blah, 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 which he technically has a right to do. And then the cops are going to escalate more than they should and be in the wrong. That's my guess for how this video goes. Let's go. Oh, okay. Oh my god. Is that an NPC? Is it like the right frame rate that this is when he's supposed to walk into the building to start the next quest? What this looked like? Where do we get the idea that Americans are the most productive? Like, what statistics are we drawing from? Isn't that true? Most productive. We can look it up. Most productive workforce in the world. I thought it was America. Maybe it's not. Oh, never mind. The U.S. is 8th. Wait, this is productive countries and their average work weeks. Hold on. What does this mean? This is just GDP per capita. Okay, GDP per hours worked in USD. It's how much product is generated per hour worked is how you traditionally measure productivity, right? You might be the most productive per person, but other countries might be the more productive per hour. Wasn't productivity measured in hours? Isn't that how that works? So this has America at basically 8th. Are you against the invasion on Rafah? If so, why? And why is Biden opposing it, despite its necessity to the Israeli war goal? I don't know enough about current condition on the ground. I don't think I'm principally opposed to an invasion on Rafah, but I think you probably need to make sure all the humanitarian stuff is working before that happens, right? Because isn't that like the last big area that they need to clear? Ireland's productivity per hour is the highest of any country at $119.10. Full-time Irish employees work about 39.7 hours per week. Ireland's high concentration of multinationals drives its largest productivity gains. Oh, that's a tricky one. Does that count as your workforce being productive? Like, let's say I'm the last step of adding value to a given good or service, but like all of the supply chains are in other countries, but because I'm a multinational company, I feel like it would drive insane productivity gains for small numbers of employees. Contrarian, thanks for subbing. Erwin Chem, or Kem, is the Dean of Berkeley Law, one of the top universities in the entire world, probably the top public university in the world, and is one of the most famous law professors in the U.S. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Back to this. What's going on here?
Who are you?
Huh?
Who are you?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Are you allowed to record inside people's cars? I know you can't. You're not supposed to point cameras into people's houses, but you can record the outside of a house. Are you allowed to record? Oh, do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your car? I feel like probably not. You may have the expectation of privacy as far as someone entering your car without permission, but you cannot say you have the same expected right for being seen while inside your car. No one is constitutionally or by any law required to avert their eyes as you drive by. Would it be illegal to film the inside of someone's car? Legal for someone to take pictures of the inside of your car without your consent? Unfortunately, it's legal even though you've not given consent. Okay. You can't do it. You can't do it inside somebody's house, right? Is it legal for you to film someone's open window of house? If you're the owner, you have the right to film your backyard and other parts of your property too. However, you cannot film areas where other people have a reasonable expectation of privacy. That means you cannot film a neighbor's backyard or angle a camera so that it can record through the windows. Yeah, okay, interesting. So cars and houses are treated way differently here.
You don't know who?
Are you taking close-up pictures of the inside of the car? You can't do that, okay?
Says who?
Says me.
Who are you?
I don't know.
Well then,
Okay, you
get
can't
lost.
You cannot be taking pictures of the inside of these cars.
Watch me.
You cannot be taking pictures of the inside of the cars.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
You come over here all big tough guy?
Hey, you can't be taking pictures inside.
Says
the car.
who?
Says me. It's a police car, okay?
And you, who are you?
I'm a sergeant, okay? I'm a supervisor,
Yeah?
okay? Yes.
And
you can't be here.
and
doing
you
that.
can get lost.
Oh, that's a good question. Wait, hold on. Are you allowed to take pictures inside someone's mobile home? Being present on someone else's property generally requires property owners to consider pictures. We also. I wonder what about if somebody lives in their car, like lives in a trailer? That would be interesting, huh? Or like an RV, yeah.
Lost.
It doesn't work that way, my friend.
How does that work?
Hey.
What? You gonna get in my face like this?
Go find something else.
You think you're gonna intimidate me?
Who's intimidating you, man?
Then what's the problem?
I don't know. I'm wondering what the problem is with you.
You came over here all tough guy.
I'm wondering what the problem is with you.
There was no problem. What am I doing?
Hold on, I'm sorry, real quick. People keep saying this. Anything in public view isn't private, but if you have your screen blacked out, then there's a degree of privacy expected. Because that's not true. I don't know why you keep saying that. Anything in public view isn't private. That's not true. You can't take video footage. We just read it. You can't take video footage of like somebody's backyard, or if somebody has like a window open. You can't record that and just take video footage of like what's going on inside their house because the window's open. That's not true. Just because something's in public view doesn't mean you have a right to sit there and record it. That's not true. Why not? Because it's against the law. I don't know. What? You are so wrong. Am I allowed to record my neighbor's window if they left it open? The legality of your neighbor's security camera, essentially the legality of your neighbor's security camera record your property depends on. This is a typo in the first sentence. Your neighbor's security camera aims at your house is indeed capturing a broad area. As the property owners, your neighbors are entitled to install security cameras in and around their house to stop lookers from targeting their home, and you have a right to do so as well. So your neighbor placed an IP camera for security purposes, happens to capture your front door, driveway, or yard. You can't press charges against your neighbors. You have no expectation of privacy outdoors. If you have some difficulty, neighbors to handle, you can find a mediator to negotiate instead of you. I believe this is true. I'm pretty sure you can take pictures. This is my understanding, okay? Maybe I'm wrong. We'll look it up. This is my understanding. If there's a house here, and there's a house here, and there's windows, okay? Let's say like this window's open, this window's open. Let's say that you're standing here. I think if you take a picture of both of these houses like this or whatever, I'm pretty sure this is allowed. You can do this. But I don't think you're allowed to zoom in on your camera and take a picture here if the window's open. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but we'll check. The footage of neighbors' security cameras record your property is in lawful use. Yes. When is it illegal to the neighbor? When is it illegal? Neighbor has camera pointed at my house. Okay. Though your neighbor can record you on your property in plain sight, they're different for the places. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy, such as a bathroom, bedroom, restrooms, locker room, changing dressing rooms, etc. According to the residence security camera laws, your neighbor might invite legal trouble if he points security cameras at areas where you couldn't view without physically entering the premises. Here's what the home security laws in California say. Installation or any use of any device for photographing, observing, or overhearing events or sounds in a private place without permission of the people photographed or observed is against the law. Videos. Okay, this website sucks. Do you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your home, in your bedroom, if windows open? For example, even within one's home or property, the open field doctrine provides that if something on a person's property is easily visible to the public without the need to be physically on the property, from the air, from the street, then there is no expectation of privacy. Furthermore, same token, while a homeowner has a reasonable expectation of privacy in the contents of the home, a guest in a house has no reasonable expectation of privacy in that house. If the homeowner consents to allow police to search your house, even in places, for example, the police can use photos taken by police helicopters above one's property of items that are visible from the air. The expectation of privacy is reduced for people who are public employees who hold safety. Okay, that doesn't matter. Moreover, is it illegal to take a picture of someone's open window? Sounds like the Ring camera is legal. Yes, the broad cameras like that, I'm pretty sure are legal. But the I'm almost positive, but we'll find it. We'll look for it. Mad tips. Oh. Somebody said plain view doctrine. Oh, is it illegal to take a photo of someone through their window? 18 U.S. Code 1801, video voyeurism. Whoever in the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States has the intent to capture an image of a private area of an individual without their consent and knowingly does so under circumstances in which the individual has a reasonable expectation of privacy shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. I don't think this is applying to what we're talking about here. This is like if you photograph somebody's dick because they happen to walk by a thing or whatever. The term, well, let's check. The term capture with respect to an image means to videotape, photograph, film, record by any means or broadcast. The term broadcast means to electronically transmit a visual image with the intent that it be viewed by a person or persons. The term private area of the individual means the naked or undergarment clad genitals, pubic area, buttocks, or female breast of that individual. The term female breast means any portion of the breast below the top of the areola. Jesus. The term under circumstances in which the individual is reasonable expectation of privacy means circumstances in which a reasonable person would believe that he or she could disrobe in privacy without being concerned that an image of a private area of the individual is being captured, or circumstances in which a reasonable person would believe that a private area of the individual will not be visible. Okay. Answer man. Is it illegal to take pictures of people without their permission? Do people have the right to take your picture and publish it without your permission? In general, it depends on the circumstances under which the picture was taken and how the image is used. The rules on pictures also apply to video images, and publishing can include print, television, social media, other media, and websites. Taking photographs and video of things that are plainly visible in public spaces is a constitutional right, and that includes transportation facilities, the outside of federal buildings, and police and other government officials carrying out their duties. The American Civil Liberties Union says in summary of photographers' rights on its website. Unfortunately, law enforcement officers have been known to ask people to stop taking photographs in public places. The summary says those who fail to comply have sometimes been harassed, detained, and arrested. Other people have ended up in FBI databases for taking innocuous photographs of public places. The right of citizens to record the police is a critical check on the ballot. Is this going to be what we want? Okay. Hopefully this isn't all about police. An article by attorney and writer Teo Spengler on the Legal Beagle website asks, how does it fall out legally when you take pictures of people without their permission? It largely depends on where they are when you push the photo button, the article says. Generally, you can take any photo you want of people when they're in a public location, like a park, a beach, or a city square. It's perfectly legal since they have elected to place themselves in a public location and have no reasonable expectation of privacy. If you snap 100 pictures of people at a political rally, a marathon, or a rock concert in the park, all is well and good. No reasonable expectation of privacy in public includes where they go, who they go with, and what they do while there. For example, if you photograph a couple kissing on the beach and publish the photo in the newspaper, they cannot complain. The article says they have no claim against you, even if one of the two happens to be married to someone else and the marriage ends with the photo. I thought that this wasn't true. Is this for non-commercial use? Like, I feel like if you were filming a movie and you caught a bunch of people in the background, does it change if it's for commercial? I feel like you're not allowed to do that. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe you can do that. I thought there was a whole debate on, like, didn't we do this with Pisco and Vegan Gains over, like, photography? And whether or not a photographer could have other people in the background? There have been movies that do this. It's called stealing a shot. I thought it depends on how much you can, like, so, like, if you do, like, an overhead shot of a city, it's okay. Or if you do, like a shot of a street, it's okay. But, like, if you were to go in a restaurant, and even if you had permission from the restaurant to film, if you shot and there are people that are somewhat involved, like, you can make them out clearly, whatever. I thought you couldn't do this. Foster v. Svensson. Oh, is there a... Didn't Borat do this? Did Borat do this? I thought when you do stuff like this, you have to go and get releases afterwards. But maybe not. Maybe that's only if they're like a subject in your video, not just somebody in the background. For example, if you photograph... Okay. Likewise, if you take photos of someone shooting up drugs, wearing a bathing suit 3 sizes too small... Wait, hold on. Like, I'm thinking about this for this reasonable expectation of privacy. What if you're filming with a friend and you're making a movie with a friend and it's about 2 people in the background that you're, like, looking at in a public area? Could you just have a whole-on conversation about these people and then, like, make a movie about these people even though you didn't even consent for them to be in it at all? I wonder if it's a difference in commercial use. Destiny, IP lawyer here. It depends on commercial use. You cannot use someone's name like this in a commercial manner without their permission. If it's non-commercial and okay, that might be the difference then. That if you're for commercial use, it's different. Maybe. In some places, Jesus Christ. In some places, even though they're... This fucking website. In some places, even though they are public, most people expect to have privacy. If these expectations are deemed reasonable by the courts, you cannot photograph other people in these spots, the article says. People have been found to have reasonable expectations of privacy in places like public bathrooms, changing lockers at the pool, and fitting rooms at clothing stores. And people almost always have a reasonable expectation of privacy when they're at home with their families. That means that you can't take pictures of people inside their own home without their permission. The rule applies even if you are standing on a public sidewalk, looking through a window and using a telephoto lens. That kind of photo violates the rights. Okay, this is my understanding. Do they set a law or something? The owner of private property, like a store or theater, controls whether you can take pictures there. Ask before the snap. The article says the owner has the right to kick you out if you take pictures without permission. Another article by Spengler brings up laws about being photographed without permission. If you stand in a public place, you can usually take it. Be a little careful, however, if using a telephoto lens. The article says just because your feet are on a public land doesn't mean you can shoot into private property. A reasonable expectation of privacy applies to private homes, including backyards and pool patios. If you take shots in a place where someone has a reasonable expectation of privacy, you're violating his right to privacy, which can get you in trouble criminally and also trigger a civil lawsuit for damages. Obviously, for the naked thing, you can't. I hate how so many laws basically end in, is it reasonable? Feels kind of meaningless. Well, no, there's, like, most people can ascertain reasonableness. Okay, I'm going with this unless I see something different, unless I see something that contradicts this. Foster v. Svensson decided on appellate division. What do we got? During the New York exhibition of The Neighbors, plaintiffs and other residents of the building learned through media coverage of the exhibition that they had been the defendant's unwitting subjects. Plaintiffs in particular learned that their children, then aged 3 and 1, appeared in the exposition in the photographs numbered 6 and 12. Despite defendant's professed effort to obscure his subject's identity, plaintiff's children were identifiable in these photographs, one of which showed their son in his diaper and their daughter in a swimsuit, and the other showed plaintiff mother holding her daughter. Let's see, how did they find... Okay, defendant Arnie Svensson is a critically acclaimed fine art photographer. His work has appeared in galleries and museums throughout the U.S. After inheriting a telephoto camera lens from a birder friend, defendant embarked on a project photographing the people living in the building across from him. The neighboring building had a mostly glass facade with large windows in each unit. Defendant photographed the building's residents surreptitiously, hiding himself in the shadows of his darkened apartment. Defendant asserts that he did so for reasons of artistic expression. He obscured his subjects' faces, seeking to comment on the anonymity of urban life. Okay, so my understanding is even if the windows are open, I don't think you'd be allowed to do this, but let's see how they ruled. The exhibit's promotional material on defendant's website stated that for his subject, there is no question of privacy. They are performing behind a transparent scrim on a stage of their own creation with the curtain raised high. May of 2013, plaintiffs commenced this action seeking injunctive relief and damages pursuant to the statutory tort of invasion of privacy and the common law tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Under that discussion, as indicated, the denial of preliminary injunction and the dismissal of the complaint were based on the same ground, namely the alleged conduct constituting the privacy invasion are not actionable under the statutory tort of invasion of privacy. New York State's privacy statute was born out of judicial prompting of the Court of Appeals in Robertson, established common law right to privacy where a flower company obtained, made, printed, sold, and circulated 25,000 lithographic prints, photographs, and likenesses of plaintiff without the plaintiff's consent. That's a different thing. Such a right would a vast amount of litigation upon the absurd, because the assertion of a right to privacy according to the court would be limitless. The Court of Appeals ultimately found that the legislative body could very well provide that no one should be permitted for his own selfish purpose to use the picture of or the name of another for advertising purposes without his consent. He's talking about prior cases, I think. Works of art fall outside the prohibition of the privacy statute under the newsworthy and public concerns exemption. As indicated under this exemption, the press is given broad leeway. This is because the informational value of the ideas conveyed by the artwork is seen as a matter of public interest. We recognize that the public as a whole has an equally strong interest in the dissemination of images, aesthetic values, and symbols contained in the artwork. In our view, artistic expression in the form of artwork must therefore be given the same leeway extended to the press under the newsworthy and public concern exemption to the statutory tort of invasion of privacy. To be sure, despite its breadth, the exception is not without limits. Does this mean, could you theoretically take like a, well, I don't even know how they've ruled yet. Like, could you take like a telescope and stand in a building and look inside celebrity homes? Would that be okay? Okay, applying the newsworthy and public concern exemption to the complaint herein, we conclude that the allegations do not sufficiently plead a cause of action under the statutory tort of invasion of privacy. As stated above, plaintiffs essentially allege the defendants use their images in local and national media to promote the neighbors, an exhibition that included photographs of individuals taken under the same circumstances as those featuring plaintiffs. Plaintiffs further allege the photographs were for sale at the exhibit and on a commercial website. Contrary to plaintiff's argument, the fact that profit might have been derived from the sale of the artwork does not diminish the constitutional protection afforded by the newsworthy and public concern exemption. Stefano v. Newsworthy and how do you make something not like artistic? Couldn't you always do that? Let's say you had like a hot neighbor and you're just like taking photographs because she leaves her shades open a little bit, and then somebody like you get arrested or the cops like come and they ask what's up and you're like, oh, I'm actually making an artistic collage of all the nudie shots I've gotten of her. Like that, there's no way, right? The Court of Appeals held that the newsworthy and public concerns exemption applied to bar the privacy claim because the Nussbaum affair was a matter of public interest and the photographs were directly related to the story. Okay, that's not to do with another event. Huh. Instructed by publishing plaintiff's photos as a work of art without further action toward the plaintiff's defendant's conduct, however disturbing it may be, cannot properly, under the current state of the law, be deemed so outrageous that it went beyond decency and the protections of civil rights law sections 1551. To be sure, by our holding here, finding no viable cause of action for violation of the statutory right to privacy under these facts, we do not in any way mean to give short shrift to plaintiffs' concerns. Undoubtedly, like plaintiffs, many people would be rightfully offended by the intrusive manner in which photographs were taken in the case. However, such complaints are best addressed to the legislature, the body empowered to remedy such inequities. They say it's illustrated, and these times are heightened threats to privacy posed by new and ever more invasive technologies. We call upon the literature. Okay. So I guess if you're making an art project out of something, you can get away with it. The problem is that it wasn't used in art. The plaintiff's theory was that the private image was used in the advertisement for the art. Yeah, that's what a lot of these other cases are going on, but it feels like that's what they're leaning into, but as long as, yeah, I don't know. Listen, don't put cameras at open windows, okay? I'm still 85% sure that's not allowed. I'm pretty sure, okay? What if your house is in your neighbor's security camera's field of view and you don't have any curtains on your windows? Well, there's not a reasonable expectation for privacy. Anyone walking by your house can see inside your windows. The fact that windows are visible to your neighbor's security camera doesn't violate your privacy. All you need to do is put up some curtains. But if your neighbor's security camera has a large zoom range and they position their camera in such a way that they can record activity happening in your home that wouldn't be easily visible to anyone with the naked eye, in this situation, you may be able to do something to get your neighbor's camera taken down. If you believe your right to privacy is being violated by your neighbor's security camera, oh, maybe that's why they say telephoto lens before. Anything with the zoom thing isn't okay? Okay, well. Anyway. 3 minutes into this.
Taking pictures of the inside.
Says who?
Says me.
What law?
I don't know.
Exactly. So get lost, tough guy.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, how's it gonna work? Why don't you call your bobbies over here? Why don't you call your lieutenant?
No.
Other sergeants?
You show me out in front of the precinct with
Yeah?
taking some pictures of inside of the police station.
Dumb guy.
I'll take it.
What a dumb guy. Taking pictures of the
Yeah.
inside of the vehicles that are public property. I'm on a public sidewalk taking pictures of everything that is open, visible from my eyes, okay? Which is First Amendment protected activity, and the tough guy shows up here and tells me I can't take pictures.
Taking pictures of the inside of the car is that,
You too? You want to get on my case too about taking pictures?
Why is he answering? I don't know.
Watson?
I don't know, 'cause
Dude,
And you?
dude.
Words?
Shouting at each other?
Edwards?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. What are you doing taking pictures then?
What am I doing taking pictures? What's the problem
Can't
taking
take pictures
pictures?
of the inside of the vehicles in the computer.
What law is that? What am I breaking?
I don't know. That's called private property. You can't.
That's
you
private
can't-
property? Come here.
You can't.
Come here, Sergeant.
You can't take a picture.
Come
of the
here,
inside of the
Sergeant.
vehicle.
Come here.
Come here. I'm good.
What it says over here?
The outside if you like.
What does it say?
I don't know.
What does it say?
You tell me.
You don't know how to read? Any of you guys know how to read?
What's your goal, sir? What do you need today?
I was minding my own business. This guy comes over here, gets in my face, and gives me unlawful directives.
So, hey, sir, can you understand why we may be...
I don't need to understand anything.
Well, I'm going to explain why he was concerned.
Why?
So we could be concerned that somebody is targeting our police vehicles or is looking inside there to see confidential information on the screen or in other things.
Okay.
So this is a reasonable...
Whose
to ask-
responsibility
it is
to protect
reasonable-
confidential information?
It is reasonable.
Whose responsibility?
It's ours. It's reasonable
Great.
to ask.
Is it your responsibility to protect confidential information?
Sir.
Exactly. Exactly. So next time when a law-abiding citizen inspects his own property,
It's your property.
and you're my servant, that's my property.
your property.
Everything that's on you, my property, except your personal effects.
Okay.
This building, my property. This vehicle, my property. You all, you, every one of you work for me. I tell you what to do. I was
going to say the screen in the cop car has to be protected somehow, even if it's just them being able to tell someone. Yeah, fuck, that's true too. Fuck, I don't know how any of these, like, my guess would be, like, for a civilian, let's ignore the cop thing. For a civilian, you probably don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy to be photographed in your car. But what if somebody, like, leans over, they're taking pictures of your cell phone screen? Or like a laptop screen. Like, do you have an expectation of privacy there? I'm gonna have no idea, actually. I'm not sure. Mad tips. Destiny, we have a button to turn off the screen.
Tell you how to do it. I pay your wages.
Is that right?
That's right. And you answer to me. So when you get on my case, being a law-abiding citizen, quiet. I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Quiet. When I'm a law-abiding citizen and you get in my face and you start threatening me and you call your bubbies out here, assuming that I'm a criminal because you intend to do something against me, guess what?
What are you going to do?
You're going to get a piece of my...
Wait, I don't understand people saying this. Is this did I stumble into like a conservative issue or something that people are like ideologically brain rotted on? I don't understand the super strong opinions on this. No, you don't. Not in public. No expectation of privacy in public. No expectation. Like, can I take a picture of a chick's like panties up skirt because she's in public? Like, even in public, there are some expectations of privacy that you have, right? Like, like even if you're in a completely 100% public area, I'm pretty sure that there are some things like I don't think it's legal to take pictures of a woman's skirt, like up skirt pictures. I don't think you can do that. There are some things if you were in a, like, let's say for instance, you were in a restaurant, okay? And there's a security camera. That's fine. But what if the restaurant had cameras above every single patron's keyboard and it could zoom in and read perfectly everything on the screen? Is that really legal? I don't know why I'm asking because nobody's going to post a fucking law. People are just going to put their personal opinions. Is it legal? Okay. Would it be legal for a store to record phone screens on camera? If you're inside a store, can the security people look at the cameras to see what's on your phone screen, legally speaking? Okay, we're in Quora. Once you open your phone in a public space, anything visible is considered in plain view. If a camera can record it, the store employees can legally use it. I feel like there's no way that's true. It's all about what the average person would reasonably expect to be hidden. I don't think there's explicitly law about any of these specific examples. It all comes down to reasonableness. Maybe. What is a reasonable expectation of privacy in a public area? Civil privacy expects against intrusion upon seclusion or solitude or into private affairs. Oh, this is very broad. Intrusion upon seclusion or solitude or private affairs. Public disclosure of embarrassing private facts. Probably should never like this. In plain view is extremely important. Your panties example doesn't work. Yeah, but neither does your cell phone screen. Like if you're like in a store and you like bring your phone up like this to look at something, is your screen in plain view? If you want to see somebody's cell phone screen, you generally now if somebody's like kind of like, you know, like whatever, like I'm kind of like going through my shit and I'm like going whatever, that's fine. But if somebody's got a phone up here, if you want to read it, you're like you have to get into their space to do it. It's not. I don't know if I would consider that in plain view. Like, even this comment is so stupid. Anyone can glance over your shoulder and see your screen. Maybe if they're like right fucking over your shoulder behind you. If you're so worried that your text messages will be read while texting in public, then do it in private. So if you ever buy something online or type your credit card in online or whatever, it would be fair game if there were cameras that were zooming in to record all of that information. Destiny, so long as no enhanced methods are used to view, it's able to be read by the naked eye. It's reasonably in the public domain. Yeah, that would be my assessment, Tuck 23. But when we say no enhanced methods are used to view, you could theoretically see some things without them if you were way closer, but then if you had the enhancements, you don't need to be. Trying to use someone's credit card information is illegal. Nobody's saying about using it. What if someone is taking pictures of toddlers playing at a water park? You're allowed to do any of that shit. Those are just like straight up public pictures. I need a legal eagle video on this. Okay, sorry. We're halfway through this.
My action.
What are you gonna do?
My freedom of speech.
Now you're
All of us have a lot of things we need to
Get
do.
back to your job. I didn't call you.
Everywhere.
I didn't call you.
We're here until
Who called you?
are not here. So
Who
what's
called
going
you?
on? What do you want?
Who called you?
Your
Who called you?
your scene, your level of engagement
Yeah?
is going to make the police be here. And I do think that's your goal. I
No.
literally think what you are doing is trying to create a scene to get police attention, to
Ask
record
her.
it on
Ask
camera,
her. I was walking
to
down. I
record it
was
on a
walking
camera,
on a sidewalk.
and have this
I
interaction
was walking
be
on a
useful to
sidewalk
you
very
online,
quietly.
on
Destiny, I worked for a company that wired and set up a bunch of stuff for large retailers a while back ago. Set up a surveillance system for large retailers once, and during inspections, the cameras were too detailed and we had to dumb down the quality. To be fair, it was a pretty high-end AK system. Not sure what the law was for. Not sure what the law was for it, but we were required to drop codecs and resolutions. Places of businesses have rules based on states. This is in Washington. Didn't have that issue in other states. Washington state law resolution of security cameras. Oh, wait, hold on. How to comply with the Washington recording regulations. To ID someone at 20 feet, we recommend that you have at least 1080p resolution cameras. Even though your technical requirements state 640 by 470, that resolution won't be able to ID someone at 10 feet unless you have a neuron. Identify 20 feet out of the question at 640. That means you have to pick HD cameras. All your cameras are HD. Oh, wait, this is storage regulations. Oh, no, wait, recording regulations. This says at least, though, so it's implying you could have more. Does one-party or two-party consent laws, do those apply to written communications? Read the URL. Get security, whatever bullshit. Okay. Of any wire, oral, or electronic communication in Florida. So, like, if I was like, let's say I'm texting somebody in public, am I breaking two-party consent because they don't know that I'm in public and I'm making their messages publicly available to everybody? Oh, consent is not required for the taping of a non-electronic communication uttered by a person who does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And yeah, but the person on the other end of your call wouldn't know. I want to sue somebody for texting me from a public place. Jesus, okay, fuck this.
On a YouTube channel.
Whatever you think.
So whatever your goals
I don't care
are,
what you think.
I want you to know very clearly, sir.
That's right.
You are taking up valuable resources that could be helping the city.
Did I call you?
Because we are focused
Great.
on you.
Here's how you can end this.
So I think that's important.
This is how you can end this.
What do you need?
Go back to your job and mind your own damn business.
You need to not point your camera inside of police vehicles and record information off of our computers.
According to whom?
Don't do it.
According to whom?
That's it.
According to whom?
Sir,
What law is that?
Okay.
What law is that? Give me an ORS code that tells me that I am not lawfully allowed to look at anything that my eyes can see on a public sidewalk.
Okay.
What law is that?
We are going to leave, and we understand that you are not going to point inside of cameras
Unless
and
I'm
record
breaking
things
the
off
law,
computers.
you can take your orders.
You stay
and
on
go to
public
hell with
property.
them.
You stay out of a roadway. You understand? You stay out of the roadway.
I'm protesting at this point, so I will stand wherever the hell I want.
Have a good day, sir.
Get lost. That's how you should have reacted in the first place. You come out here and you harass me, a law-abiding citizen, that's the reaction you're gonna get. Servants, get lost. Sick and tired of police officers harassing law-abiding citizens every day.
Wow. That's the end of the video? Oh. I mean, like, technically everybody... Well, oh, that's not bad. Everybody is kind of like, okay. They kind of, like, shouted at each other. They all kind of, like, did some bullshit. But then at the end of the day, they all fucked off. Eh. Jesus. There's I looked up what that court case was about, the neighbors, because I was curious what were the photographs that this guy was taking. Damn, so this was defended under artistic expression. I would be hella ass mad if people were taking pictures like this of me and publishing them. That seems wild. And these aren't public figures or newsworthy figures or anything. That just seems wild to me. Holy shit. I guess so this particular court case, these held up because they were just suing for was it just an injunction against their pictures being used in the advertisement? Is that what they were doing it for? And not for the, actual, like, art thing itself? Or, like, holy shit. Jesus Christ. I mean, some of them look cool. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, it's a cool idea. I'm just surprised that... I'm so curious with the court case. This one is like, he's like in a kitchen-y area public. It's more...